Hey everyone, good morning. It's Comic Artist Pro Secrets. Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. A lot of people are impressed. They're just like, wow, Ethan's live streaming early this morning. Well, you know what? Lately it's been I've been doing these live streams in the middle of the night, and people are kind of like, hey, wait a second. What do you have against the East Coast? Nothing. I live here. I have nothing against the East Coast. I actually should be live streaming at various times during the day. So, you know, hopefully I can catch you guys, catch a little bit of everyone. That would be nice. You know, that would be nice. How are you guys doing? How is everyone here? We've got a few people watching, and maybe we'll get a couple of people who are willing to spend the morning, have morning coffee with me. Poland 805 says, "Did you sleep?" Hardly at all. Hardly at all. I had a huge party last night, and I came to bed at like. Well, I had to do the high council, which I was in no shape to do. I did not want to do the high council last night. I was late to doing the high council, but I did show up. I don't think I was myself. I think I was tired. I think I'd had a few drinks, but I still, you know, it was okay. It was all right. Then I came to bed. I did a little work. Came to bed at like 1 a.m. and would sleep for like an hour and get up. And I realized at one point, like I woke up at like 2 in the morning. I was like, I left the torches on in the backyard, like the gas torches. So I walked out there in my underwear to go turn off the gas torches. It was a good thing that I did. Norwegian Kryptonian says, sending love to Anna, that Star Wars girl. Yeah. Okay. So some of you might know, some of you might not know. Anna, that Star Wars girl, has a 22-year-old sister who is currently missing. We don't know where she is. She seems to have disappeared. And all over Twitter, if you just look up Anna's sister or Anna, that Star Wars girl, you're going to find information. You'll see a picture of her. You'll see her car. You'll find out where her last known location is. Follow her on Twitter and just, you know, for updates. If you know anything, I know it's a long shot, but, you know, reach out and maybe we can, you know, maybe we can solve this problem. I don't think there's any news. I don't think there's any new news overnight. Everyone's working really hard to help. You know, people are deeply concerned about it, obviously, and you know, I think that we might get some news today. I have a feeling. She said something about her being kind of in a bad spot, and so maybe she just took a little break to clear her head. And let's hope for that. Let's hope this is just kind of a, you know, somebody needing a break and needing to kind of go be by themselves for a little while. I think that's the best outcome, and that's what we can all pray for. But you know, let's thoughts and prayers for Anna. You know, keep your eyes open and see what you can do to help. Detective Comics Nerd says Jeremy is soy when it comes to Nintendo. That drove me nuts last night. Jeremy, by the way, I got into a whole thing with Jeremy last night where I was actually like ready to yell at Jeremy again because I'm sitting here trying to make a point about the decline of masculinity and how it seems to be, it's most evident in this meme about the Nintendo Switch. There are all these pictures of men, adult men, with holding Nintendo Switches and being like, making these like excited little boy faces because we got a video game. And I was talking about how like, look, in World War II, during the 1940s, 1950s, even the 1960s, 70s, 1980s. Men didn't act this way. Like, if you were 35 years old, you had a family, you had heavy responsibilities, and nobody had time to play video games. You might play catch with your kids, hopefully. But men just engaging in solitary hobbies like video games just wasn't a thing. And then the end result is you have these squeaky little boys who are in their 30s with full beards and everything. And of course, feminists just steamroll right over them. Of course they do. They basically they've emasculated these guys to the point where, yeah, feminists just steamroll right over these little boys in their little video games. You go play your video game while we take over everything. How's that? And these guys just seem all too willing to let that happen. And then Jeremy starts yelling at me that Nintendo is not a woke company. I didn't say it was. So I finally just went, okay, Jeremy, go ahead and yell about Nintendo. For goodness sakes. Totally walked over my entire point, which was a good one, and is as true today as it was last night. Logan Michael Anti-Funko Pop says pie. Yeah, last night I had a party. I had some people come over, and some of the people who came over last night to hang out, a lot of it was business oriented, but they listened to the channel, and I got a strawberry pie. They brought over a strawberry pie, and by the way, I had a food, like I went out and we had a lot of company over, so I ordered food, and I ordered cookies and brownies. I had sandwiches. I had a whole spread of like catered sandwiches, cheesesteaks, Philly cheesesteaks, chicken, mozzarella sticks, just New Jersey finger food. A lot of it. So there's tons of food, beer out, all kinds of liquor, whatever you want. And this guy brought a pie, and I think he was hoping that we were going to share the pie. I looked at him and I said, I know that in most cases, most hosts would leave your dessert out for other people to enjoy. I'm not going to do that, sir. I'm going to take this pie and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. You can eat the food that I have here that I've left out. I will trade you my catered affair for this pie. And he said, okay. And I did. And last night, again, it was like, I kept getting out of bed. Like, I don't know. I kept waking up and going, what should I do? I can't sleep. I'm going to do something. I'm too tired to sit down and actually do work. But I can't sleep. But it's just, I'm just in one of these moods. And so I went downstairs to the kitchen and I just cut a big slice of pie and I ate it with my hands. And, some of you remember just recently, I said, I've laid off the pie. I'm not going to have any. Well, I did. I ate it. It's good too. And this guy was like, I go to the special pie place near my house. It's like a special, and it did look like a special pie box. So I was happy about that. It was good. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Lama Gigante's here. Albert Stoddard says, someone brings a pie to EVS and EVS whips out a straw. You better believe it. Joseph Ippolito says, sounds great. I'm going out for breakfast. Michael Prenesti's here. He says, if I ate like EVS, inevitably I would be a big boy like EVS. Yes, you would. And you'd be happy too. You would enjoy life. No, I did not eat the whole pie though. I was given a whole pie, but I didn't eat the whole pie. Just ate a nice slice of it. Man of Sex is here. He says, is this Oprah's Basement Food Confessions? If there was such a show, I would do it. I don't consider this a confession. I'm happy to tell you. I'm not hiding anything. If I'm going to have a pie, I'll tell you. I'll tell you proudly. All right. So the reason why I'm doing a live stream is A, because I love you guys. But B, me and Zach are going back and forth, dying laughing over this Daily Beast article about Oni Comics. Now, Oni Comics is a Portland, Oregon-based comic book company, and they've been around for a while. I mean, they've had a couple of big hits. They are, like I said, they have been around for a while. I think you would call them kind of a leftist comic book company. I mean, I know that's almost redundant in this day and age, but what was the big hit that they had? What was the big thing that Oni put out that became a movie starring Michael Cera? And why can't I remember it right now? Hold on a second. Let me look it up real quick. I have a computer right in front of me. I have facts at my fingertips. Michael Cera, Oni Comics, Scott Pilgrim. It was called Scott Pilgrim. So Oni Comics actually published Scott Pilgrim. and gave birth to the Cal Art style, which of course is a scourge on the you know in the art world. Now at this point, Cal Arts is responsible for a lazy kind of animation or cartooning style. You recognize it when you see it. It sucks so bad. Look, it just sucks. Everybody can draw like this. There isn't anybody who, oh God, I have to raise my voice. Everybody can draw like this. There is nobody who cannot draw like this. When you make this a thing, when you make this acceptable, you have let everyone from Tumblr into the comic book industry. And you're going to get imitations of this. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get Scott Pilgrim. Now, Scott Pilgrim, for its time, is good. I mean, it's the movie's okay. It's good. But it is the father. It is the irresponsible father of so many awful things, so many absolutely terrible things that are happening in pop culture. It is, like I said, it's known as Cal Arts, the style. You can do it. Your mom can do it. Your baby sister can draw like this. Everyone can. So this is Oni Comics, and this was Oni Comics. I think it's their biggest hit. It's the one that comes to mind when you think about Oni Comics. Now, Oni Comics, of course, is suffering through all of this. Oni Comics is suffering through the comic book Great Depression. It is currently the comic book industry, in case you don't know, is in rapid decline. It is absolutely dreadful. Marvel Comics is spinning around laughing. Everybody's reacting to it in different ways. DC Comics is being kind of like, okay, all right, we did this, we got through. We were born in the 1930s, so we know how to survive depression. So we're just going to tighten our belts. We're going to focus on what works, what sells. We're going to cancel everything that doesn't. We'll do what we can to, we'll try to survive this. Okay, so that's DC's kind of responsible adult attitude, even though just recently they had to pay the price. Everyone is paying the price for the last few years of hiring SJWs. DC did. DC hired Andy Corey as an editor. Andy Corey, formerly of Comics Alliance, the most SJW comic book website ever, just pure poison. Because of Andy Corey brought in a whole slew of SJW sex pests, various criminals of all different kinds. They were all fired. Their books were all canceled, led to PR disasters, which led to the death of Vertigo Comics. Now the comic book media is spinning this. They're trying to pretend like this didn't happen. That Vertigo Comics died for reasons other than SJWism. It didn't. Vertigo died because of the SJW infestation and what that stands for. When you let these people in, when you let social justice warriors, when you think that social justice warriors may have a point, and you allow them to come into your comic book company or into your any company, they will ruin it. That is what they do. So Oni Comics is not, so Marvel Comics in any case is reacting to this whole thing by spinning around and just producing more and more comics and denying that this is happening. But Oni Comics, of course, is going to feel this more dearly. They're a smaller company. They're Portland-based. They responded recently by merging with another even tinier company called Lion Forge, which was completely unknown to me. Lion Forge is a company that, as we'll see, was built by two black gentlemen, and they had the bright idea of hiring Gail Simone to be their spokesperson. Gail Simone obviously never read one of their comics, not even one, and she would just kind of go, yeah, do you want a comic book about a superhero with Down syndrome? Because Lion Forge publishes this book. Gail didn't read any. Gail would virtue signal out, these kind of like bland, just motherly, not even like auntie-ish, press releases about Lion Forge's books. Did absolutely nothing to sell them. I mean, these people don't know how to sell comics. They don't care. Most of these SJWs just do not care about selling comics anyway. So Lion Forge eventually also was in decline. They had this idea, let's merge. Oni and Lion Force. We'll call ourselves Lioni. They didn't call themselves Lioni. They should have. but they are Oni Comics and Lion Forge Comics, and they're now one comic book company. Now, because of this merger, they took the opportunity to recognize that their businesses weren't going very well, and they started to trim some of the fat that they had acquired, some of the purple-haired fat that they had acquired along the way, righteously. This is the right thing to do. The right thing to do. Now, because of that, SJWs in the comic book industry are screeching racism. And what's so funny about this is why me and Zach have been laughing all day. We laughed yesterday. I think we laughed overnight. Like, I probably giggled when I got a couple hours of sleep like that in my sleep over this. Zach's been laughing nonstop. He's on the road. He's going to make a big video about this tonight. I was like, should I record a video or should I go live? And this is so big that I think I just need to talk it through live. But he's going to record a video about it as well when he lands in 4 hours. I can't resist. I have to talk about it now. It's just really funny. Here's an article written by Asher Elbine for the Daily Beast. This came out yesterday, 2 days ago. What was the 25th? Was that yesterday? I've lost track of time. It might have been 2 days ago. Asher Elbine is a skinny cracker-ass cracker, SJW, who is a friend of Kieran Shiak, who is probably, I don't know, he's a British drowned rat SJW who is just a pure troublemaker. He's the guy that you remember. He used to work for Comics Alliance. He used to work for, they're all, it's very incestuous. He used to work for Andy Corey when Andy Corey ran Comics Alliance. Andy Corey ran Comics Alliance into the ground. Thus, Kieran Shiak finds himself jobless. That was like 3 years ago. I think he's still jobless. Crowdfunding for sandwiches, which is really, really annoying. And when he does crowdfund for sandwiches, he ends up taking the money and buying, what was it, Jeremy? Oh, a Nintendo Switch. Go figure. Oh, I'm going to buy a Nintendo Switch with my crowdfund money. Why is it that these people all right, I don't want to get into it. I'm not saying there's a connection or anything between soy-based individuals and Nintendo Switches. I understand that's a sensitive topic for some. I'm just saying it's interesting Kieran Shiak did that. So Kieran Shiak, again, is friends. These weirdos with the formerly of Comics Alliance, they have friends within the dirtbag, what would you call it? Tabloid SJW media. Asher Elbine is one of those journalists. Now, Asher decided to come after me a year and a half ago. He sent me a message. He was like, I'm going to write a piece about you. He's like, I work for The Atlantic. And famously, when he was asking people on the internet, this was incredible that this happened. He said, who's been abused by Ethan Van Sciver? If you have been personally abused, and this was before I even was abusing people. Now I'm abusing y'all. I wasn't abusing you then, but now I am, and I'm going to continue to. Please contact me, Asher Elbine, with your stories, your sad stories. So The Atlantic, the publisher of The Atlantic, had to come out and say, this cracker don't work for us. Hey, Ethan, I'm the EIC, the publisher of The Atlantic magazine. This cracker-ass cracker don't work for us. I was like, word? They're like, word. I was like, what up with that? And that was that. It was humiliating for Asher, but he ended up kind of starting to publish articles, his articles as a freelance SJW through the Daily Beast. So here's where we find him. Now he is coming out swinging in favor of the people who Oni had to fire. Oni Press promised. Look at this title. Look at this is great. It was insane. I don't understand. Oni Press promised inclusive comics. Then, amid chaos, quote unquote, it shut out marginalized employees. What the hell happened? What happened? Hang on a second. Let me get a drink. Again, for those of you who are not fans of the comic book industry who don't understand, I want to re-emphasize, sales are down. And when I say sales are down, I mean sales are down. And the reason why sales are down is because comic book stores are closing. A lot of them are closing. We are down to like critical mass. If you realize, take a minute to realize that comic book shops are the only way to get comic books. The direct market services these comic book retail outlets, and if the comic book retail outlets don't exist, then our distributors have nowhere to send these comics. And that is the case. That is the problem. That is currently the crisis. Comic book stores are going out of business because of the garbage that comic book companies are sending them. People are just kind of going, do I even really like comics? I can't remember why I like comics anymore. So I'm going to stop buying comics, and then comic stores go out of business. You can only sell so many pop figurines and keep a business open. You know, it only lasts for so long. Merbley says, "How's the frogs?" Merbley, I went out this morning to skim the pool. There was a frog in the pool. I got the skimmer, popped him right out of there. He did great. He hopped right away. All right, so Oni Press, again, located in Portland, Oregon. I want to emphasize Portland, Oregon. If you are not an American and you don't understand what that means, Portland, Oregon is bluer than an incel's balls. It is. You cannot find a single Republican in Portland, Oregon. All right, it is. It's all left wingers. All of it is left wingers. It is SJW central, and yeah, there's poop on the streets and all that stuff. It is basically, if you are an SJW, if you are a communist, you're going to be comfortable. You're going to be at home in Portland, Oregon, which makes this article all the more funny. So I'm just giving you context in advance. Oni Press, even before a merger, led to the firings of queer women and women of color. Ex-employees describe a chaotic, at times hostile work environment at Oni Press. All right, so Asher Elbine interviewed two people. Now, before we get started in this article, which is going to be so much fun. This article is so much fun. Before we get started, I'm going to go to Kiwi Farms here. Kiwi Farms, collects tweets from people who have probably blocked me on Twitter, but I can see them stop these tweets here. They're collected. So this is the person in question. This is the employee that was fired. This is bisexual lighting. I thought it was lightning. Bisexual lighting and murder. This purple-haired individual right here is an enormous troublemaker, as we'll see. This is their list of tweets about the article. We're going to go through those for a laugh as well. This person was hired because this person made an issue, emotionally blackmailed an SJW predisposed comic book company via their identity. I'm bisexual. I'm, genderqueer. I have purple hair. I am a woman of color. So what? You're going to hire me, right? Yeah, they are. They're going to hire you, and you're going to do a shitty, awful job. You are going to think about everything except for making comics that are sellable, which is what SJWs do. They get in there. They immediately try to change things. They try to change the work environment. They don't worry about making the gadget that you're making. Whatever your company's main objective is, that's not their concern. Their concern is taking over your company, which is what this individual tried to do. And fortunately, Oni kicked this person's ass to the curb. This person is now complaining to Asher Elbine, who is stupid and an SJW, and was perfectly willing to write a hit piece about Oni. So the irony of this is as follows. Oni Press couldn't be more SJW. Oni Press gave this person a chance, did everything they could. This person came into their company, failed to do anything to make a profit, failed to help this company in any way. If anything, this person was the source of distractions, you'll see, the source of drama, the source of conflict within the company. By the way, whenever you hire an SJW, expect that that's what's going to happen. They're going to come into your company and they're going to cause drama, and they're going to cause problems, and they're going to seek problems, and they're going to seek power. They're going to cause problems and seek to be the solution to those problems that they themselves are causing. If you are smart, you will fire their asses out of your company as soon as possible, which is what Oni Press did. And now that Oni Press has done so, Oni Press is now going to be demonized as a Nazi comic book company. And it's so funny. It's so great. Asher, thank you for writing this, you idiot. Thank you so much. Here we go. It's a chaotic, at times hostile work environment at Oni Press. Oni Press is Oni Press is run out of a closet. They might employ a dozen people. They might employ a dozen people. So imagine criticizing the way this company is run when they're like a mom and pop's bakery. They are a very small company. On May 8th, editors and creators in the comic industry awoke to an announcement in the New York Times that Oni Press, publisher of Scott Pilgrim, among other beloved indie books, no, that was the only one, would be merging with Lion Forge, a publisher largely built by Black creators, and its parent company, Polarity. Can you imagine? I love the way this is written. It's like on November 22nd, 1963, America was shook to its core by news that its president had been assassinated by a communist in Dallas, Texas. It's like, yes. Where do you guys remember where you were on May 8th? On May 8th of this year, most of us will never forget where we were when we awoke to the announcement that Oni Press, a company that most of us have never done business with, and Lion Forge, a company that we've only laughed at in diversity in comics videos, merged. We'll never forget. So dramatic. It was the kind of business maneuvering that rarely makes headlines outside of the comic industry, but inside the industry, layoffs from the merger kicked up a stir that is yet to die down. Yes, because you fired SJWs and they can't shut up. Oh, I love it. Boom, I love it. I punched my fist forward. Boom, fire the SJWs. Several of those jettisoned. Thank you for using that word. I'd use that word too. When you say jettisoned, I do picture a trebuchet. I picture a trebuchet happily. I picture putting them in the trebuchet and firing them from the trebuchet. Several of those jettisoned in the merger were queer women and women of color, among others. Oh my goodness. Well, not queer women and women of color. We must protect them. We must protect them at all times, at all costs. Those people, of course, those ones get to keep their jobs, no matter what happens. Oh God, what a sacrifice! Not queer women and women of color. Among others, the casualties from Lion Forge included their editor-in-chief Andrea Colvin and associate editor and Eisner Award-winning cartoonist Christina Steens Stewart. Steens. Those laid off from Oni Press included its one Black editor, Desiree Wilson. How many editors does Oni Press have? They published like 6 books. Well, executive editor Ari Yarwood resigned a week later. Dude, it's horrible. It's like they're dropping like flies. This is, wow. The description is wonderful. At a time when indie comic companies like Oni have publicly committed to inclusivity, the fallout from the merger has been particularly ugly. So in other words, when Oni Press decides that, look, we're not doing so well, this shit ain't selling. Like, we're producing comics by these idiots, and they're not selling. So we're gonna have to do what we can do to stay afloat. We're gonna merge with Lion Forge, another company whose comics aren't selling. I don't understand the wisdom behind that. I really don't understand why Oni and Lion Forge merge. Neither company can sell a comic book to save their damn lives. I don't think either of them have a book on the top 500. So now what? 0 plus 0 equals what? What does 0 plus 0 equal? Why would these two companies merge? You've got Oni, which had 1 hit. It's still coasting off of Scott Pilgrim. And then you've got Lion Forge, which has 0 hits and a big boat anchor named Gail Simone promoting the books. They're paying her. What are you paying her for? Why would you pay Gail Simone to talk about your comics? It's astonishing. So that's the situation. And so Oni finally goes, we got to fire some of these SJWs. It was fun to hire them. Like, it was fun to say we're for inclusivity and diversity. Yeah, I can see you are. I mean, that is your primary mission. Your primary mission was to hire queer women and women of color. But when the rubber meets the road and you ain't selling comics, it's time to fire these people out of a trebuchet, as you will see from this article. These are troubled, annoying people who are, a distraction in business. You get drama, you get distraction. That's what you get when you hire SJWs. All right. So, at a time when indie companies like Oni have been publicly committed to inclusivity, the fallout from the merger has been ugly. It's provoked greater scrutiny of the Portland based company's workplace practices. Of course, it has. Hey, Oni, Portland, you guys couldn't be more left wing. You guys could not have possibly have been more conciliatory towards these lunatics. Now, if they come to me asking for work, they get two middle fingers from me, two of them. They get nothing. I think these idiots can starve to death. I don't want them around. I think they're terrible for business. All these bitches can starve. But you, Oni, you tried so hard. You tried so hard to employ them. You wanted people to think of you as inclusive, as caring about diversity. And here's what you get for it. They destroyed your business. You had to fire them. I'm sure you didn't want to fire them. You had to fire them. They have zero sympathy and compassion for you. Now they've hired Asher Elbine, this weirdo over at the Daily Beast, to write a vicious expose of your company, a viciously unfair expose of your tiny little company, which was already on the brink of destruction. You were already on the brink of failure. Now, these people want to kick you over the edge of the cliff. Why? Because you gave them a chance. You gave them a chance. They fucked you over. Excuse my language. They screwed you over. They were incapable of creating product that people wanted to sell. They didn't help you make any money. You got woke. You got broke. You went broke. And then you had to fire these people. And now they're attacking you for it. This is just incredible. I love this. I love this. Oni, you asked for this. You asked for every bit of this. It's wonderful. And it's so funny because it's so ugly. It's provoked greater scrutiny of the Portland-based company's workplace practices. Well, it's about time. It's about time because their workplace practices seem to involve looking at people like this and going, I'm going to hire this person because it's going to make me look like I'm inclusive and I care and I'm compassionate and our company cares about diversity. This person calls themselves bisexual lighting and murder. I better hire them. This is clearly going to sell comic books to people. This is going to sell expensive pamphlets with stories about superheroism to people. This person here. Interviews with former Oni staff members allege a startlingly unprofessional office environment. You don't say. You don't say. A comic book company, a small comic book company, is startlingly unprofessional? Are you saying that a small comic book company that's largely known for being extremely left-wing, that focuses mostly on hiring other left-wing weirdos, is startlingly unprofessional? With an editorial arm that seemed reluctant to support its marginalized employees. Support us. What's up? You got a paycheck. What more support do you people need? You got a paycheck out of your company for nothing. You cost them money. You did negative work. You did you did negative work and you got a paycheck and you still wanted more support because you're marginalized. Grendel Fan 84 says, "Good morning, Uncle E. Actually, based on my comic shop sales, Oni has been coasting off Rick and Morty." Oh, they have Rick and Morty. Okay, the past couple of years. So they got the Rick and Morty license, and there you go. Thank you for that information. Oh my God, it's so funny. Desiree Wilson came to the comics industry via an unusual route, starting out in the military before taking jobs that included emergency medical technician and 911 dispatcher. After working as an editorial intern at Dark Horse Comics, she applied for an assistant editor position at Oni Press as a long shot and got hired. Got hired at Oni. So you're working as an intern at Dark Horse, which is also in Portland, and you wanted to work as an assistant editor at Oni. It seems like a lateral move. Mike, NYC, thanks for $1. Appreciate that. Oni Press was in flux when Wilson came on board, with EIC James Lucas Jones taking over as publisher and Ari Yarwood moving into the executive editor position. It's so funny, executive editor of Oni. Yarwood declined to comment on the record for this piece, citing mental health. Okay. Please. They should all cite mental health. I'm not doing so well. You know what? Honestly, some of these people, actually insisted on commenting on the record for this piece, also citing mental health. I mean, for goodness sakes. Again, right. Okay. Thank you. Back to it. Wilson took over for editor Charlie Chu, who had moved to another position in the company. She was offered a starting pay of just $30,000 a year. Okay. So you've got a company that can afford to pay you $30,000 a year. That's the salary. $30,000 a year. That is, what is that? So that's like $2,400 a month. Like it's not a livable wage by most standards. It's a very low salary. So this company clearly doesn't have very much money. They're not earning very much money through their comics, and they're not paying very much. Hatch 450SX says EVS missed my last chat. I did. I'll go back and get it. Don't you worry, Hatch. Don't you worry. Sometimes I focus on the story. Observant Jim says EVS emailed you about your Cyberfrog sketch cards help, Jim. Okay. Hatch says, am I a traitor to CG if I watch WB hero shows? Yes. No, you're not. All right, so $30,000 a year and a slate of 30 comics titles to manage, which included much of Chu's backlog. Chu's backlog. For reference, Wilson said an editor position at a publisher like Simon & Schuster has a slate of 8 to 10 titles a year. Yeah, well, welcome to comics. You know, I mean, comics is all about herding cats and producing a lot of work. There were few systems in place. By the way, and why did you want the job if this is such a big problem? If this was so burdensome and the pay was so low, and it is so low, and it is so burdensome, you're working for Oni. Why did you want the job? There were few systems in place of any kind at Oni, Wilson said. The office was chronically understaffed with heavy turnover, people all realizing that the pay sucked and the work was too hard, and they left. They left before being fired. They found something better to do. And massive workloads falling on the remaining editorial and marketing employees. There was this is big right here. This is, and they underplay this, but it's so funny because SJWs, when you hire them, they want to suss out your human resources department. Now, the human resources department is where they will, if they cannot occupy it themselves, if they cannot become human resources, they need to know human resources because they are going to beat the company upside down with human resources. This person called me queer. Fire them. They are going to use human resources to make the bosses, to make their employers do exactly what it is that they want. That's what they want. They need human resources. So this is entirely about, this is their tactics. Now, this person went there and found that a company that could only afford to pay their editors $30,000 a year, that's their top salary, didn't have a human resources department. You don't say. You don't say. Are you telling me that Oni Press isn't like Marvel Comics or Warner Brothers? Wow, that is awful. That is chaotic. That is just ridiculous. And boy, what do you do from there? You were hired at a company entirely for identity politics reasons as a virtue signal, and this company doesn't have a human resources department for you to abuse them with. Now, what are you going to do? We're going to find out. And no onboarding in order to get trained, Wilson said. She eventually had to go over Chu's house 3 times a week and eventually asked Yarwood if she could proceed herself. Morale issues abounded. Recognition for accomplishments, such as an Eisner win for they want they want to be patted on the head. I got you an Eisner for the Tea Dragon Society, which I edited. I edited it. You didn't recognize me for getting you an Eisner win. Eisner wins. Eisners mean nothing right now. The Eisner committee has entirely been taken over by SJWs. They're giving themselves awards. Nobody read Tea Dragon Society. I don't even know what it is. Why would you expect recognition at a tiny broom closet of a company winning them an Eisner for a book nobody read. They would have preferred, honestly, if you want to be recognized for an accomplishment, they probably would have preferred, making money on a comic book. Getting a comic book of theirs into the top 500 probably would have gotten you noticed by Senpai. That's just my guess. All right, so it's just thin. I wasn't being recognized for my accomplishments. And the extra work of keeping the office clean fell on female employees, while white male executives got themselves pulled off the cleaning rotation. Ladies, mop the floor. Mop the floor. Women, including Ari and Melissa Mazaros, director of publicity, and I were doing the overwhelming work of keeping the office clean, making sure things were where they needed to be, when they needed to be there, of planning, of celebrations, Wilson said. And I don't think... Oh my God, I can't. Oh my God. Oh, I'm going to die. I don't think we celebrated as a group something that wasn't someone leaving. There was just a bunch of goodbye parties. I'm sorry, I'm moving on to something else. I found a job that pays more than $15,000 a year, and I'm taking it. Oh my God, I'm dying. I'm going to die. Oh my God. The women clean and the men never help. They never help. It's just the women that clean. I don't understand. I mean, you're hiring these people. You're hiring these people, Oni. I didn't hire them. You hired these people, and look at them. Look at what they're doing to you. They're telling everyone that you enslaved them, that you made them throw parties for people that were quitting, that you made them keep the office clean. Oh, Dan Marshall says Eisner for clean offices. Now that would be an award that I would understand. See, that would be celebrating. If they didn't celebrate the accomplishment of getting an Eisner win for keeping a clean office, then I'd be outraged. It was kind of insane to me how chaotic it was, says Rachel Reed, former Oni Press marketing manager. When she came on board in October 2015, the company didn't even have an official website. There were no systems in place. Nothing was archived. They never had marketing budget. They're not selling comics. Why would they archive shit that didn't sell? When I entered, I was thinking it was an entry-level job where I'm going to be learning comic book marketing. And I had to start figuring it out on my own. My goodness. Things went particularly downhill. Oh my gosh. Okay, here it is right here. This is my favorite part. This is my favorite part because I want you to imagine the stuff that happened between the lines. Okay, so let's say you're Oni Press. It's your company. Now, at Oni Press, and I don't know who the hell they are. Okay, I don't know who these people would be. But one thing is true of every comic book company. They have their prized freelancers. Lucifer Love Monkey, thanks for $5. Appreciate what you do, Ethan. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. They have their prized freelancers, and these are creative people, okay, who you need to take care of because they're producing the actual comics. So you have creative people who are going to be a little bit nutty. Just imagine not Neil Gaiman, but just imagine Neil Gaiman. Imagine it's your job. You're Neil Gaiman's editor. You are going to coddle him a little bit. He is going to be a little bit of a precious puppy. And you are going to, it's your job. Is Neil happy? Is Neil happy? I got to make sure Neil's happy. Splendopia says, can I join the all caps human resources team? Absolutely. Absolutely. We need a human resources staff. So that is your job. Your job is to be conciliatory. It's to be on their side. It's to keep the top talent happy. It really is. That is a skill that you need to have if you're going to be an editor. You have to be on the talent's side, or at least seem to be, while you are still on the company's side. Okay, it's important to keep them there. Fluffer, exactly. Not in so many words, but fluffer. Now, this person, Wilson, Think you just imagine you hired this person. You have precious little creative staff. You've got precious little freelancers that you care about that are actually that can sell maybe a book for you, or your top selling talent, and you hire this person, and this is what they do to your company. Things went particularly downhill in March of 2018, Wilson said. Listen to this line here. Her relationship with one of the creators she managed soured. What happened? What? You mean you don't get along with everyone? you mean you were put in charge of someone who is creative and probably a little bit, creative people can be a little bit prima donna. It would be your job to just sort of understand that and just make sure they're happy. It's be up to a certain point. It can get unreasonable, but I doubt the most prima donna of prima donna that's working for Oni Press is going to be like the green M&M person. I really doubt that that's going to be the case. Technotoad says, "Give us an oh yay." Yeah, I have been through this whole article. Oh my god, it's funny. Her relationship with one of the creators she managed soured. So you hired this idiot. Oni Press hired this incompetent, just staticky bitch who does nothing but complain and badmouth people on Twitter, badmouth the company, badmouth the comic book industry, talk about communizing what's left of the comic book industry. And you put her in charge of one of the creators for your company, and the relationship sours. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. With the writer shouting at her over the phone and refusing to communicate via email. Why in the world? Before finally telling her at a convention that he couldn't tell her apart from the other biracial black person in the office. This is our excuse. I don't believe this happened at all. Let me just say this. First of all, if it did happen, it's funny because it's an Oni Comics. I don't believe this happened at all. I believe this is the weapon that she used to explain why the relationship soured with this precious creative person. Wilson made a complaint to Yarwood, who passed it up the chain. This creative person, this person just told me that they couldn't tell me from the other biracial black person in the office. Do something. Protect me. Protect me from this. Both women also pushed Oni to hire, of course they did, a human resources consultant. When are you going to hire human resources so that we can use human resources to beat the hell out of you and creators that we are souring? We need a human resources consultant so that we can force you to do what we want because of our identity. After all, we are a queer woman of color. So you need to protect us. And we need HR to do that. HR is going to act in our interest most likely and against yours. This person said they couldn't tell me apart from any biracial black person in the office. I can't tell soy boys apart. I've made that clear. I can't tell them apart. I have a little bit more luck with blue-haired land whales. But I mean, it's starting to go fuzzy there too. Most soy boys look exactly alike. Love this. Jared Bobak says, if they were really marginalized, they would tell them to shove their HR consultant up. Thank you for that. That's so true. Yeah, they all do look like Chuck Wendig. Yeah, and then upper below average, I am starting to get soy blindness. It is sad. Pray for me. Both women pushed Oni to hire this HR consultant, but Wilson said the company sat on the complaint for over a year. By the way, in case Wilson is this woman, by the way, Wilson is bisexual lighting. We're gonna hear more from bisexual lighting at the end of this. When trying to address the issue with publisher James Jones, she said he avoided taking action, insisting that the creator had just been joking and didn't mean it. Settle down. Just settle down, okay? You're fighting with one of my creators. He said something maybe he said something kind of salty to you. I don't know. Maybe he was just joking, but could you settle down and keep the drama, leave the drama for your mama and out of my prestigious Oni Press Comics? That's all I ask, says James Jones. It was kind of insane to me how chaotic it was. It's chaos. This guy says I look like another biracial black person in the office. Nothing is done. His head is still attached to his shoulders, and I have no one to go to. It's insane. In the aftermath of these events, Wilson said she felt ostracized from the office. You don't say. You felt ostracized? You're being a pain in the ass? You're being a pain in the ass? You're severing relationships with treasured, prized talent and then complaining about it, causing trouble, causing static, and you feel like nobody wants to be your friend. I know there's pain. Why do you lock yourself up in these chains? She also began getting official feedback questioning her work performance. Wow. Doesn't seem like the office is chaotic to me. Seems like it's actually working pretty well. A month before the merger announcement, Wilson said she was told that her HR complaint had been addressed and that the writer she'd been having issues with would not have his contract renewed. You got him fired. Good job. So they had a writer and you got him fired. I mean, just imagine this. Imagine this. Like, who is more valuable to this company? The actual talent, the writer, or this crazy person who's an editor who's being paid $30,000 a year? Please don't let him write comics here. Please. Michael Roth, comic awards seem like newspaper awards now. Industry insiders telling other industry insiders how great they are despite sales tanking. Yeah, it's entirely true. It's entirely true. So congratulations. Okay. Nobody likes you in the office. We've established that. Matt Horkin says, an SJW is abrasive and dislike. Color me shocked. Well, here we go. You know, sit down when I tell you this, Matt. This person was disliked because they were abrasive. And they managed to get a writer fired. So that's good, right? Lucas King says, Bleeding Cool outed Donald as a lefty infiltrator. I know, I saw it. It was funny. We'll talk about that if you want. If you want to talk about that, we will. I suspect the only reason they closed my HR case is because they knew I would have it over them if I tried to sue. You're going to sue them. So let's get this. Let's get this straight. Oni Comics, small publisher, failing publisher, decides to hire this lunatic right here as an editor. This lunatic ends up causing all kinds of static, is obnoxious, demands HR privileges, demands that the company start, bending to her whim. Gets into fights with prized freelancers, people who the company has had a relationship with for many years. It is this person's job to actually coddle and make sure that the talent is happy and gets their work in so that they have books to publish. She ends up complaining and fighting with this person until this person screams at her on the phone. And then she goes to HR, or she goes to her boss and says, where's the HR? I need to complain. This person said that I look like another black person. They sit on this complaint for a year because it's ridiculous and because they can see this is a troubled human being. They're stuck with her. Finally, after a year's worth of screeching, they fire this writer. They say, we're not going to renew his contract, okay? All right, you win. You win. This guy's not going to get to write comics here anymore. Congratulations. Congratulations. And then her big plan is in case she got fired, she was going to sue them for this. I suspect the only reason they closed my HR case by firing this writer is because they knew I would have it over them if I tried to sue. Your Honor, they didn't fire the writer who said I looked like another black person when I complained. And I complained a lot for a year. It took them a year to do anything. It took them a year. Dr. Ho says Eisner Award for most talented fired for complaints. Yeah, most talented fired for complaints. DD says high stress for a mere 30K krill a year. I know, these whales. And then you go to, and then Asher Elbine, who's a total idiot, who can't see through this. He goes to Oni. He says, "Is this true?" And Oni Press says, by the way, just straining, straining at their bit, trying to remain professional. We do not comment on personnel matters, as we are legally and ethically bound by an obligation of privacy, Oni told the Daily Beast in a statement. We can confirm that as a result of the recent merger, we've eliminated several positions as part of consolidating our two entities into a stronger organization going forward. This is an unfortunate but necessary part of the process, and we have heard the conversation by those affected and from the wider community as well. We disagree strongly with the unsubstantiated and stupid claims, I added the stupid, and inaccurate portrayals appearing online and in the questions you've asked us to comment on. But because of the aforementioned privacy boundaries, we cannot comment further. Oni Press, you feel that? You feel that noose? You are quite right when you talk about unsubstantiated claims, inaccurate portrayals. You're quite right when you feel harassed by the questions that you've been asked to comment on. You're quite right about all of that. That noose is part of the world that you helped create by humoring SJWs. It felt good for a little while. We're all about inclusivity. We're all about diversity. I just want to make it clear to everyone, here's my beacon of virtue. I care about these things. I care about these crazy people. We want crazy people working for us too. It can't just be sane people. It can't just be sane, hardworking capitalists who want to earn themselves and us a living. We have to make room for crazy people. We have to make room for crazy people. We have to. We have to make room for crazy people who want to hurt our company. It's only right. It's only right. You guys did this. You guys did this to yourselves. This is so stupid. And all I can do is laugh. All people can do is just laugh at this because you deserve it. I mean, you absolutely deserve this. Hatch says, just shut up and do the job, lazy bish. 100%. 100%. Just do the job. Internal communications reviewed by the Daily Beast, including text, emails, and chat transcripts, provided written records of Wilson's and other ex-employees' complaints to and exchanges with Oni at the time. My God, how scandalous. Matt Horkins says, EVS, I'm not sure you're respecting women. Do better. I will. I'll do better. The rumblings of a merger began a while before the official announcement, Wilson said. There had been interest in some sort of deal from Lionforge, a company founded in 2011 by two black guys, animator Carl Reed and marketer David Stewart II. The company's comics catchphrase was comics for everyone, except for Republicans and white males. And diversity of both characters and creative staff was its primary selling point. Nobody wants to buy that. That is not for sale. Diversity of both characters and creative staff is not a selling point. That isn't something that people can purchase. It might be nice. You might think, oh, that's nice. How are the comics? Oh, they're shit. Well, I'm not going to buy them. I'm not going to buy them. When the merger was formally announced, it came with news that Oni's James Lucas Jones would be taking over as president and publisher of the new company, with the Oni editorial team leading creative and business operations. Polarity, Lionforge's parent company, would hold the majority stake. Reporting by comics industry website The Beat, an editorially independent site also owned by Polarity, imagine that, suggested that the goal of the merger was to create a more robust line of comics and graphic novels, as well as to help both companies leverage their characters to other media platforms, including animation and film. Polarity also had plans to launch an animation studio. Okay, this is the main thing. Obviously, the main reason why any comic book company is built right now is animation and film. You're hoping to get your stuff optioned. These people don't care about comics. They're not really trying to make comic books. We talk about this all the time. These people aren't interested in the comic book industry. They don't care. They don't care about how these things actually read or appear as comic books if they appeal to comic book readers. They care that this is a good way to get my screenplay read by a lazy producer in Hollywood. It's a pretty good way to do it. Maybe something will happen. We'll put out 8 books. Maybe we'll get a nibble on one of them. That is entirely the plan. DD says, comics for everyone, money for no one. You're fired. Oh, my God. The news was another step. By the way, Asher Elbine is the worst writer. Is he worse than Rich Johnson? He's dumber than Rich Johnson. But he is, yeah. The news was another step in the consolidation of smaller media companies in the face of IP mining juggernauts like Disney and Time Warner. By the way, look at this. The smash hit Star Wars and Marvel films versus Time Warner, owner of the somewhat less successful DC films. What was that necessary for? In a good month, these two companies combined to make up just 1% market share at comic shops. Shauna Kidman, assistant professor of communications at UC San Diego, told Forbes, estimating that they might have a better chance at survival together than apart, particularly if they consolidate overhead, or in other words, lay off redundant, stupid SJW troublemaking employees, which is what they had to do. By the way, this doesn't necessarily make any more sense. Make sense. The idea that two companies that are failing might do better together. No, that's just, if you have 4 people drowning over here and 4 people drowning over here, and you put them all together so that 8 people are drowning together, they're still going to drown. That's the way it's going to be. But absolutely lay off everyone first. I want to see more layoffs like this. All told, 9 people were laid off from Lion Forge and Oni Press. My God, it's like the Civil War, bodies everywhere. Largely without apparent warning. At Oni, Wilson, the one black editor at the company, was the sole editor fired. How many editors were there? I just want to know that. Does it say? There's one black editor. How many were there? Scott Sharkey, who worked like, it'd be one thing if it's like there's one black editor out of 36 editors, and that's the one they fired. The other 35 were white guys. They were white males that were Christian. That might be kind of more. No, it's just the one black editor, probably out of 2. Scott Sharkey, who worked part-time at the Oni warehouse and is Wilson's partner, was also let go, as was Melissa Mazaros. Poor Scott. Scott Sharkey got fired? Oh, no. Scott Sharkey, are you okay? He's a male. I'm concerned. I'm more concerned about him because he's a man who's out of work. This is an injustice. And his last name is Sharkey. That's a cool last name. Oni's director of publicity, who had suffered a brain injury from a car accident in 2018 and was left to crowdfund money for medical and rehab costs. At least 2 of those laid off, including Wilson, had accessibility requests or accommodations with Oni under the Americans with Disability Acts. It feels very targeted, Desiree said. You trimmed staff in a merger because it's harder to prove. You were discriminating when you fire people, and I believe that's what's happening. In the merger's press release, executive staff at Oni put out several statements underscoring their commitment to diversity and inclusion. Wait a second, do I want to read these? Oh, all right, I'll read it. Oh, it's a Jude Terror article. Oh, my God. Where's their statement about diversity and inclusion? Mags Visaggio has to comment. These are some of the best people in comics. That might be true, but in a, that's not saying much about comics. Where's your statement? No, that's not it. Look at all these people with statements. All of these failures have so much to say. None of you, I'm not going to bother. None of you people are selling comics, but you all have an awful lot to say. Everyone has statements to make. Everyone has a statement to make about their opinion of this. But news of the layoffs provoked public shock and anger online, with many pointing out that the layoffs of both Oni and Lion Forge had disproportionately fallen on women and POC staff. What can I tell you? Oni was hiring women and POC. Reports that the combined company would be run out of Portland, and the staff at Lion Forge, which previously had the option to work remotely, would have to move, also raised serious concerns. Portland is not only severely unaffordable, but it's got a well-earned reputation for racism. It's got, you guys, Portland is racist. Vince Garrett, thanks for $2. What a concept. Whales who can't swim. Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon is racist. All right. I agree. Portland, Oregon. Quote, I've been called things on the subway, Wilson told the Daily Beast. I've seen my black friends get attacked. I've seen them called the N-word while they're walking into their studio, minding their bit, probably from a homeless person, just laying there drunk. You're not going to find a person of color who hasn't had an experience of being called something bad. Well, you're not going to find a person of any color. You're not going to find a person who hasn't had the experience of being called something bad. Lionforge co-founder Reed responded to the criticism in an interview with sci-fi.com. The narrative of our entire mission. Narrative. Everyone has a narrative. SJWs have a narrative. I wonder if they have a narrator. They need a narrator for their narrative. Is focused on new perspectives, different voices, and expanding what comics are and who reads them. Valero, thanks for $10. Can you make plus-size action figures to inspire people of size? I will. Yeah. I'll make them bigger than most people, inspire them to get bigger. Sounds like a good idea. I'm trying to expand what comics are and who reads them. Not only are we personally comics creators, but we're African-American comics creators. God, my eyeball's going to fall on my head. It's just pounding. Like, when you read too much SJW whining, you get like, at least I do. I get a headache right in my eye socket. Right in my eye socket. Just boom, boom, boom. Oh, it's horrible. Yeah. We're African-American comics creators. When you're a leader in diversity and you let someone go and the majority of your employees are minorities and women, no matter what happens, it can be perceived in a certain way. Stop hiring SJWs, Lionforge co-founder Reed. Stop hiring them. This is what you get. It is great that you get this. Oni Press's core values and the contributions that our creators and staffers who are people of color, disabled, or queer have made over the past 20 years speak for themselves, Oni told the Daily Beast. Every day, we live our commitment to a culture of diversity, inclusion, and equity for all members of our team and our creative community. Unless you have to build them a ramp, huh, Oni? Unless you have to build them a ramp. Evidently, deciding to fire people who had disability requests. We need you to build a ramp. Oni's like, you know what? I'll build a ramp up to your ass and give it a good kick. We're not building a ramp. You're fired. Beautiful. I love it. This is the best thing about this. Like, you know, Oni Press is absolutely 100% responsible for this. 100% responsible. Ryan Magus, thanks for $5. I finally figured out why they called a community they're communists. That's correct. That is 100% correct. They deserve every single bit of this. They took the advantage. They took the moment. They took the moment of merging with Lionforge to fire all the troublemakers. And the troublemakers went, wait a second. Wait a second. You owe us something. All right. So the corporate culture that Reed and Wilson describe exemplifies the freewheeling, largely unstructured business model that comics companies have long defaulted to, which can lead to unclear or seemingly arbitrary HR decisions. Without clear procedures for onboarding or dealing with HR complaints, there's nothing to prevent serious miscommunications, especially when dealing with serious and thorny issues around race and disability. You can't fire me. You can't fire me. I'm a woman of color. You can't fire me. I'm in a wheelchair. See, that's what HR is for. You go to HR. They're trying to fire me, and I'm special somehow. In an environment, problems with relatively easy fixes are often allowed to fester. Now that the combined Oni Lionforge is attempting to position itself as a larger player in the comics industry, helmed by many of those who were in charge at Oni during its chaotic early 20 years, a certain amount of scrutiny around its internal culture, including who it decides to fire and how it decides to fire them, is to be expected. And when those let go include the company's sole black editor, as well as a woman with a brain injury who was seeking medical accommodations amid a wider round of layoffs and departures that have largely affected marginalized creators. It's no surprise that people are angry. Oh, it's just, oh my God, it's a buffet. Oh, there are no good guys. There are no good guys here. It is wonderful. Oh, it is wonderful. And I believe that there's some truth to this. I think that first of all, they did use the Lion Forge merger to fire the pains in the ass. Let's get the pains in the ass out of here. Like, this person Wilson absolutely 100% deserves to be fired. Get rid of this idiot. But while we're doing it, there's a woman with a brain injury. It's going to cost us some money. Let's get rid of them too. Sorry, we're downsizing. And this person's in a wheelchair now. They're going to need a ramp. What's that going to cost us? It's going to cost us like $8,000. Yeah, sorry, we're downsizing. We got to fire you. We got to fire disabled people. We're diverse, but we're not that diverse. We're cool with screechy purple-haired weirdos, but if you're in a wheelchair, yeah, we're not going to be that diverse. By the way, look at this that they bring up. While Marvel's firing of Chuck Wendig in 2018, this was a pivotal moment in history, and I am so glad that I get blamed for this. Chuck Wendig getting fired shook them to the core, and it still shocks them. They're still upset about Chuck Wendig getting fired. Chuck Wendig getting fired. He's just a normal. Chuck Wendig was just an average freelancer. People get fired every single day. This is the thing that's great about SJWs. It's so fun. It's so fun to report on them because you just follow these stories. You wonder why it's so important that The Last Jedi still be stood up for and defended. You wonder why Chuck Wendig is still made an issue of. A year later, we're still talking. They're still ass mad about Chuck Wendig a year later. And has Chuck Wendig found a new job? I don't think so. Why? Because Chuck Wendig was a major SJW who was installed in a place where they needed him to be. That's why they needed Chuck Wendig to be there in Star Wars, blathering his SJW nonsense. They needed Chuck Wendig because Chuck Wendig had a big mouth on Twitter, and he was talking all kinds of nonsense, all kinds of divisive political bullshit. He was really like offensive. And if Chuck Wendig could talk like that and still work on Star Wars, it was an expression of the power of social justice warriors within comics. But that power was tested when it came up against me, Ethan Van Sciver. And I will take full credit now, since you people wrote articles, since you weirdos wrote articles blaming me for getting Chuck Wendig fired. I'll add that to my list of accomplishments. I did it. I'm the one who got Chuck Wendig fired. You know how I did it? Every time he tweeted something stupid, I made a video about it. Every single time. Chuck Wendig would talk about, Republicans being forced to eat shit-covered boots. I made a video about it, and people responded. And if people responded in large enough numbers that it was brought to the attention of his employers, who might not have been aware of what an idiot he is, and I made some great videos about Chuck Wendig, then I take full responsibility for it. I'm the one. No one else, not, me. I did it. I got it done. And I'll continue to do that. That's what this channel is. That's what this channel will do. I will continue to shine a light on these cockroaches. I will continue to let people know. You guys wouldn't even understand what was going on with the Oni Lion Forge merger. You guys wouldn't care about this. You would not understand how wonderful this event is and why it is so funny if it wasn't for this channel. And later on tonight, you're going to get Zach's take on it, and Zach's take is going to be absolutely hilarious. I cannot wait to see what Zach has to say about this ridiculous article. All right, so firing Chuck Wendig emphasized the essential disposability of freelancers. Well, I mean, yes, in a way, freelancers are kind of disposable. They come and go. It's the essential nature of having to dispose of SJW freelancers is what Chuck Wendig's firing brought about. It is the urgency to which SJWs need to be fired before they can do more damage. That's what Chuck Wendig firing actually told people. You can't just say whatever you want to say. You can't cast a negative light on the entire company when it's your job, when you represent the company. They didn't learn anything from that. The Oni Lionforge merger has underscored how precarious editorial jobs can be and how little recourse exists. You can lose your job if you're an asshole. This is true. This is absolutely true. One result of the merger has been an increased amount of discussion around an organized labor push in the comics industry, which Reed is actively helping to research. Look at this. A lot of these indie publishers started as a group of friends who made their own company, Reed said. But you can be an amazing comic writer or an amazing comics artist and not know how business works. If you had an HR complaint at Oni, you had nobody to tell but the bosses, which isn't very ethical. The industry likes to present itself like a family. God damn, no, they don't. The industry, but they don't take care of their people like a family. Yeah, you got taken care of. You got taken care of. This is absolutely amazing. All right, let's talk about what this is here. These people, these weirdo SJWs who are communists, see this faltering comic book industry, and they've decided that what they're going to push for, now that they've got their hooks in it, they are going to push to unionize the comic book industry. Step one. God, this is incredible. Step one, of course, you need an HR department. You see HR sprinkled all through this article. HR. Why? Because without an HR department, socialist weirdos, these far leftists don't have control. These people are not here to do work. They're not here to do any work. Nowhere in this article is there a mention of, I did this comic book and it made this much money. I am the person who brought in this creative person and this creative team created this comic book and it made all kinds of money in sales for Oni. I deserve my job. I deserve my job because I might be a little spooky, but I did this comic book and it was essential to the health and long-term financial growth of Oni Comics. That's why I deserve my job. None of that is here. All this article is I have purple hair. Purple hair, don't care. I'm a woman of color. I deserve my job. And when you fire me, it's because you're a racist. You got me. Look, I looked at your company. I assessed that your company had serious problems that I needed to come fix. I was hired by you guys. I got in there. I brought my own friends in there. We ruined your company. We wrecked your company. You ended up having to fire us in the middle of a merger. And now I'm going to stand back and I'm going to still talk shit about your company. And I'm going to get my friends to write miserable hit pieces about you for the Daily Beast. And I'm going to take you apart and call you racist. That is what this article is all about. It is incredible. This is one big screech from an SJW. And what do they want to do? They want to take, these people do not even understand. They don't understand their positions. They want to unionize the comic book industry so that they can get paid to do even less work. So that they have, look, at this point, Chuck Wendig being fired was an outrage. If we were unionized, Chuck Wendig could just continue to talk garbage and reflect poorly on Star Wars, and his job would be secure. It's so important that these people's jobs be 100% secure, as though they're working for the government, because they have a lot of things to do. They have a lot of things other than their jobs to actually accomplish. One of those things is to screech about politics. Identity politics. Oh, blah, 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 inclusivity, diversity, blah, 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 blah. Where are the comic books? Where's the money? Where's the prosperity? You can't unionize when you have no value. Organized labor doesn't work when you aren't needed, and you people aren't needed. Your jobs exist because of the white guilt of a bunch of dummies who should know better in the comic book industry. You cannot organize You can- you cannot unionize. You cannot organize and control the pity, which is essentially what it is, of these people who have hired you. Their pity is limited, as you can see. It has a breaking point. There's a breaking point for these people and their white guilt before they realize that bisexual lighting and murder needs to be fired. She is no longer worth keeping around. So the article comes out and she starts tweeting. There's obviously a lot here, and I have some things to say, but the point of this article is to be transparent about working conditions at Oni. The people who control these conditions are still in charge. They just have more money now. The idea that Oni or Lion Forge have more money because of this merger is so stupid. If anything, they have less money. It's worth questioning again and still how Oni believes it has claim to being woke and diverse and promoting equality when this is the state of things. Oni, my recommendation for you is to say, you know what? We're not woke. We're broke. We're not diverse anymore. Okay? We're disconnected from that. We're not promoting equality. We're promoting comic books. Oni, the sooner you say that, the sooner you tell these idiots who have no interest in helping you survive as a company, who only have selfish motivations and not the good kind, not the kind about making money for themselves. They only have selfish motivations. They have never worked. They don't know what it means to work. They only know what it is to find problems and complain. That's the only thing SJWs know how to do. The minute you say we ain't woke, we went broke, we woke up. We actually woke up from being woke. We're not diverse anymore. That's the last thing we're worried about. We're not promoting equality. We're promoting comic books. We're a comic book company. We sell little pamphlets with stories in them. It doesn't matter who makes them as long as they're good. We just want to make money. And we're not going to hire incompetent weirdos who complain all day on Twitter. We are not going to hire incompetents anymore. We're not going to feel sorry for you. We're not going to feel sorry for you and your purple weirdo hair and the chip on your shoulder about the color of your skin. We're not going to listen to how many are you polyamorous? Are you bisexual? We don't care. The last thing any of us want to think about is you having intercourse. We just want you to make comics. Can you do that? Can you make comic books that sell? You can't? Then get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. They've had 20 years and still run like they think they're a startup in an apartment. They are a startup in an apartment. They're a crummy little tiny comic book company. They've had 2 hits. One of them they had to pay for. They've had 2 hits. They don't have any money. They can't do this. They're not Warner Brothers. They don't know how to juggle you. They don't know what to do with you. They're trying their best. They're using you to try to show other people that we care, we're not racist. And you beat them with it. It's like you beat them over the head with that. They had the best of intentions, stupid as they are. And, you cause trouble. You ruin their business. You ruin their relationships with creative people. You complain, bitch, moan, complain. Where's HR so I can complain some more? I need a better resource for complaining about how things aren't fair for me here. You get fired, and then this is what you get. They fired you with cause, justly, and this is what happens. You go find Asher Elbine in the Daily Beast, and now you're going to run these people through the mud. And let me tell you something: they deserve it. I think it's funny. But you're both idiots. Both parties are idiots. But you're especially a despicable human being because people went out of their way for you. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you might have problems. Yeah, the people that you're running through the mud, they went out of their way for you. They went out of their way. They gave you a job. They gave you a shot. You gave him hell in response. So broken up inside. I'm still being cautious out of respect, and mine and others, and some other things currently in the fire. But this is the tip of the iceberg. Our outrage wasn't because we were laid off, it was because we endured this. We're given lip service about getting better. Where is the tangible change? Where are the apologies, the attempts to amend, the respectful discourse, the professional courtesy, the respect for your fucking creators and staff both? I imagine those questions need to be answered to someone else at this point. They just wanted to make comic books, you idiot. You lunatic. You creep. You disgusting creep. They just wanted to make comic books. They don't need to change for you. They don't owe you an apology. They don't need respectful discourse. This isn't free to be you and me. They don't even really need to respect you. They only need to pay you. You're not entitled to respect. You're entitled to a paycheck if you do a good job. These people have to get over themselves. These people have to get over themselves. Oh my God. Oh, it's infuriating. Oh, there's more. Oh, I actually settled in for this. I figured I would actually take my time. Normally, I'm like, I'm gonna rush through this live stream, get it done. But no, I'm gonna actually look at all this. All right. Here's another person with blue hair. This right here is one of my main issues with the comics industry. Thanks for calling it an industry. Appreciate that. The corporate culture that Reed and Wilson described exemplifies the freewheeling, largely unstructured business model that comics companies have long defaulted to, which can lead to unclear or seemingly arbitrary HR decisions. You've got to be kidding me, you weirdo. Did you just hear what that person said? All you had to do was actually listen to what she actually said happened and read between the lines. She had freelancers screaming at her on the phone. This was a highly dysfunctional person that deserved to lose their job. And HR shouldn't have been a factor, honestly. Get out of here. You're destructive to the business. All these weirdos with blue hair, they come in here, they have concerns with the comics industry as it's dying. I have a concern about the comics industry too. My main issue with the comics industry is that it's dying. It's not about how it treats blue-haired weirdos. It's not about how it treats the soy boys. It's not about whether it's racist or not. My concern with the comic industry, my main issue with the comics industry is that it's dying. Is that comics, selling good comics to people, superheroes in capes, fighting crime, fighting monsters, that doesn't seem to be a thing anymore. It's all about bickering over, who gets what for nothing. It's all about fighting. Treat me with respect because I have a vagina. Treat me with respect because I dyed my hair blue and I'm bespectacled. I have a little cartoon avatar of myself. And I'll raise hell on Twitter about you if you don't. Treat me special. Give me work that I don't deserve. Give me work that I'm not going to do. I don't know what these people are talking about. What is your comic book? Have I seen it? Have I heard of it? Is it good? Does it sell? Why aren't you talking about your comic book? All I do is talk about Cyberfrog all day long. Extra tidbits here. What is this? Oh, here's Asher. Here's our look. Did I tell you he was a cracker? Look at him. Cracker ass cracker. Here's his tweet. Even before a merger led to the firings of disabled women and women of color, ex-employees describe a, quote, chaotic, at times hostile work environment at Oni Press. I wrote about it for the Daily Beast. Yeah, you bet you did. Of course you did, Asher. You had a weird, obnoxious, weird social media presence, SJW. Poisonous human being who was fired for just cause. They did it as the best that they could. They had a good excuse. Oh, it's a merger. We had to cut corners here. No, you didn't. Oni, you wanted to get rid of this person. You wanted to get rid of all these people. They're trouble. Be honest. Say they're trouble. They're troubled. They're troubling and they're trouble. They're not making money. They're not making good comics. They're just causing us trouble. We had to fire them. We needed to fire them. We're glad we fired them. It's chaotic. The source of the chaos, look inwards. Look inwards. It would be easy to look at Oni Press and assume they were acting maliciously, but the more salient point is that in the absence of clear systems and accountability, HR, an office that means well can end up putting a lot of pressure on its marginalized employees. How about just not hiring people who call themselves marginalized? You have a person of color walk into your office, and my first question would be, would you call yourself marginalized? Would you think of yourself as marginalized? And if they said yes, I'd say, get out of here. And if they said, I'm not marginalized, I'm a bull, I'm a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Nobody's marginalizing me. I see what I want. I get it done. I'm a winner. Oh, you're hired. Are you marginalized? Are you a victim? Yes or no? Alec Munoz says this is your quintessential AOC Sanders supporter. Of course it is. That should be the question that you ask people. Do you see yourself as marginalized? Anyone who sees themselves as marginalized is going to be a pain in the ass in the office, in an office situation. They're going to see themselves as a perpetual victim. This is Asher demanding HR, human resources, so that people who call themselves marginalized, professional victims, can exploit human resources to beat the hell out of the company and turn it into another SJW playground. That's all this is. Oni is too small. Oni is too poor. Oni doesn't have the means to give you what they want. Here's the irony of this. Oni is too small, too poor to have an HR department. So they can't give you the means that you want to turn them into an SJW playground. So they're just rolling over and showing you their belly. They're saying we can't. But here, take us. We'll do it. We volunteer to do whatever you want. And that's still not good enough. Oni tried to be woke. Oni tried to be woke. Oni said, we care about all this stuff. And they hired a bunch of weirdos, and this is what happened. Next time, spend less money on weirdos and more money on an HR department first. Get the HR department, then hire the weirdos so that they can use the HR department to control you. And only hire people who say they're marginalized. Have you been victimized by the world? Are you a victim? Do you cry a lot? You spend a lot of time crying on Twitter? You're hired. Here's our HR department. You'll be spending most of your time in there complaining about us. Not doing work, but complaining. Somebody said that they confused me with another black person in the office. Oh my God, fire them. This is what you guys asked for. Oni, this is what you asked for. You want, and this is the thing. Now you've got to pretend to take that seriously. Why do you have to pretend to take that seriously? You asked for that. You put yourself in that position. Things to consider for inclusive businesses. Where is it located? How much does it pay? What services do they provide their workers? Do their workers have a safe pipeline through which to handle grievances? HR. This stuff is a lot harder than putting out a press release. Hey, things to consider for included employees. Where is it located? Can you get there? If you can't, you're not hired. How much does it pay? How much work are you going to do? What is your plan to make the company bigger? What services do they provide their workers? Their workers are supposed to provide services to them. And if you have grievances, get the hell out of here. You're not owed this job. You're not owed a job. You don't like it, leave. That's the EVS. That's the All Caps Comics HR department. You want to work for me? You do? What are you going to do to make me some money? You do a book? Is it going to be good? This is my job interview with Kanan White, because he's going to do a book for me. Unhinged Crank says, "Hail and good morning, Caesar." Thank you for $2, Unhinged Crank. Kanan, you're going to do a book? You're going to make me some money? You are? All right, cool. Thanks. The minute you stop, you're out of here. There's the trebuchet. Get to work, make good comics. I'll pay you a lot of money if you make me a lot of money. If you have problems, you can leave. You can leave. You can go work for your boy Zach. I'm going to be merciless. I'm going to be the worst. Well, I'm going to be a good boss. I'm going to treat people with respect, but honesty. I'm not going to coddle you. Story time with Yang Yan. I'm going to coddle you. I am. That's just kind of how I am. If pasty white people didn't tell others they're marginalized, how would they know? That's true. It's always white people that are, Asher Elbine's here to tell you you're marginalized. Zebulon Pike says, Hail Caesar, master and commander of the army of frogs. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Resanctify, thanks for a $1 donation. Appreciate it. I'm caught up on the super chats. I'm here. I'm doing it. All right. So this is the thing. Asher is telling these people do not need this in their heads. SJWs think that their bosses are here to do things for them. What are my benefits? Can you tell me about my benefits? Yeah, your benefit is a paycheck. And if you don't like it, you can leave. And if I don't like it, you can leave. That's it. Maybe some health care. We'll see. This is a lot harder than putting out a press release. Finally, an inclusive. Imagine thinking you're entitled to this. People are starving in the world. People are unemployed. What can you do for me? What are the benefits that you offer me while I drive you nuts? Finally, an inclusive business requires staff live in the same unaffordable and unwelcoming city as your business. When jobs can easily be done remotely, is either not considering how that affects who they hire or doesn't think it ultimately matters that much. It does. Well, then go F yourself. Again, go F yourself. Nobody's requiring that you work for Oni Press. In fact, I recommend that you don't. Personally, I recommend you don't work for Oni Press. If you do work for Oni Press, that's your problem. My recommendation would be go F yourself. And businesses, stop calling yourselves inclusive, for goodness sakes. Stop being so weird. We're fully aware of just the color of your skin and your gender. We know there are 72 genders. Your boy Zach today told me there was only one gender. He said, Ethan, I'm going to blow your mind. There's only one gender. I said, God damn, you're right. I didn't ask him to expand on that. I didn't say what, like, there one gender, like what? He just said, I'm going to blow your mind. There's only one gender. Here we go. She's back. Woof. I've already typed this twice. Oh, well, it's okay. Don't bother. It's all right. Don't strain yourself. I've already typed this twice, so I'm going to put it here and go back to work for the day. Oh, you have work to do? I thought you were fired. I provided a mountain of email, text, GPS, and documentation receipts to support every claim I've made against Oni. Oni, aren't you glad that you're an inclusive hirer? Aren't you glad you hired Bisexual Lighting and Murder? Unionized Comics Now? Aren't you glad that you hired this person? It's worth it, right? They gave you grief before you hired them. They gave you grief while you hired them. They're giving you even more grief now that you've fired them. Congratulations. This was worth it. And by the way, anyone who's thinking of hiring this person, get ready for more. This person should be permanently unemployed. This person should be couch surfing like a hobo at her parents' house, back and forth. Couch surfing hobo. That is the career path I foresee for you. You should always be cautious and critical of every piece of media, and I appreciate those who are. The reason the documentation isn't published is because most of these people can't afford to be caught in a blast. Finally, I was hired explicitly. Can you imagine? Like, to them, it's like there's constant scandal. These people have to keep it secret. You're working for a little tiny comic book publisher. Every day is worse than Vietnam. Every single day. But these people can't complain because they can't afford it. I can afford to complain at this point. I'm brave. Finally, I was hired explicitly to be a POC editor on the Black Mage. Were you really? Was that what it was? Did they say your job is to be black? Your job is to be black on this book, The Black Mage. You know, that's your job. You're qualified, I think. And since this termination came on the back of both ADA requests and Oni holding a racial discrimination complaint over my head for a year, it's part of it. I don't like it either. Again, the racial discrimination complaint was a freelancer saying, I'm sorry, I confused you for another half black woman at Oni. I confused you. You both look kind of the same. This person created a racial discrimination complaint at Oni over that event. A freelancer saying, I'm sorry, you look like the other half black woman at Oni. Okay, let's just think about that for a while. Some things happen. It's a little awkward. It's a little awkward. You just go, all right, Dick, and you let it go. No, you don't. Not SJWs. That's a racial discrimination complaint. Racial violence is a normal thing in Portland. PDX is Portland Airport. But getting it in a place like Oni was not what I expected, even while several staff tried to resolve it and shelter from the worst of it. Asking primarily POCs to move to Portland to retain their jobs is racial violence. It's racial violence. Cyborg Valkyrie says, but will you cuddle us? Rogue gives Biden hugs. Hail. Of course I will. You know, asking people of color to move to Portland is racial violence. I'm trying to think about that. I lived in Portland for a year and a half. It was cracker violence. It really was. I had asthma, you know. Portland's not a good place to live if you have asthma. It's always wet. There are pine needles. You are going to move to Portland if you want to retain your job. That's racial violence. Beyond that, in what world is it okay to trim the overhead by firing your staff with disability accommodations by eliminating their critical roles? Director of publicity, associate editor, definitely jobs you probably want, but now they're eliminated. No more of those for Oni. This I actually agree with. I think that's pretty funny. Oni Comics taking the opportunity of the Lion Forge merger to fire the disabled people that was working for them. I mean, look, I mean, again, fire this person as hard as you can, against the wall. Go ahead. But I mean, the disabled people, that's pretty spooky. That's pretty interesting. There might be something to that. Like, now's our chance to save a little money. DD said Portland called. They don't want you either. Thank you, DD. Of course not. Don't move there then. Portland does want me, though. And they liked me there. Portland is full of giant rats, giant beaver rats that are called, they're not, what are they called? What are those things called? What are the giant beavers that walk the streets of Portland called? They live everywhere. Those are spooky. I don't know. Somebody here is going to tell me in a second. No. Couple of guesses. Nutria. Yeah, Nutria rats. Thank you. Yeah, the Nutria. I remember, I was like, wait a second. It sounds like some kind of supplement. I remember their name sounds like a vitamin supplement. Nutria. Just in case this needs to be said, in the wake of the Oni Lion Forge, this couldn't have been a more, I mean, this couldn't have been a more trivial event. Oni and Lion Forge, two companies that are dying. Two companies that produce comic books that almost nobody cares about. Probably sales of zero, just overall. Like, if you averaged them out, sales of zero. This couldn't have been a more trivial event, the fact that these two companies merged. It's kind of interesting in a way because it's like, well, that's a thought. I mean, you got two losing companies. They're real small. If you put them together, are they somehow twice as big? No, they're twice as small. They have twice as much debt. But This is being turned into the moment, May 8th, 2019, a day that will live in infamy. Oni and Lion Forge merged and fired 9 women of color. Or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what the breakdown was. Let's just say there was 9 women of color. In the wake of the Oni LF piece that came out today, understand the creators are still caught in the crossfire. Now, this is hilarious too. This is SJWs. This is their sales pitch. This is what's so headache-inducing about the comic book industry. It's already dying. It's hard enough to get people to read comics. You have to get people excited about them. I got a book about a distant world that anticipates the alien invasion of giant parasitic wasps invading planet Earth. And so, in a last-ditch attempt to help planet Earth, they send over an accidental but sarcastic cybernetic frog and a gigantic cybernetic salamander to be Earth's last line of defense against the invading Vespes horde. That's my pitch. I try to get people to read my comic. I want you to read that, and hopefully you hear me talk about it. You see the pictures. You want to read that comic. I don't go, guys, do it because I'm caught in the crossfire. Look at this. In the wake of the Oni Lionforge piece that came out today, understand that creators are still caught in the crossfire. Support them if you can. Buy from them directly if you can. Go to their signings and events. It's not easy on them right now. It's not easy. This is insufferable. This is insufferable. Ethically supporting comics is a tricky business, and you're always having some fraction of your purchases going to the publisher, but the more you can put in the creators' pockets, the more you're helping them survive a system stacked against them. This is the comic book industry under SJWs. Failing and with a tin cup held out. Please, do you have a nickel? Support us. Support us. Dee says, but where will I get books on gender fluid elves? I don't know. Ethical support, says Morris 10. It's ethical. You have to support us ethically. It's hard, but the more you can put in our pockets, the more you're helping us survive. You don't deserve to survive. None of you deserve to survive. You all deserve to starve. If this is the way that you're going to continue, you deserve to starve. You don't deserve anything. You're not offering anything. I don't see a picture of a great comic book that I might want to read. I don't see it. What's in it for me? Why should I give you anything? Why should I support you? You look ridiculous and you're a pain in the ass. Why should I support anything that you say or do? If you looked ridiculous and were a pain in the ass, but did a really cool book about a cybernetic werewolf, I might have to give you $5. I'm not seeing the cybernetic werewolf. That's what I'm saying. Zier whines a lot, says Mitch. That's right. People deserve to know there is also a risk as a staff writer, editor, designer, colorist, whatever. They use a lot of forward slashes. But that risk is bigger by orders of magnitude when your work relies on someone else seeing its value. It's all a risk. Everything is just a risk. It's a terrible risk. And it sucks that, someone else has to see value in what you're offering in order to give you money. That's not fair. That's not fair that someone else has to see value in what you're doing in order to pay you. Or they should just give you money anyway. It's a risk. Everything's a risk. Oh, God. It goes on. By the way, this is a lot of tweeting. I tweeted a 4-tweet thread today about Cyberfrog action figures. And I thought that was too much. I was like, oh, I need to shut the F up about this. I'm excited about it. I need to shut the F up. I should not be talking. I should not be tweeting 4 things in a row. This person just goes on and on self-aggrandizing with self-pity. How do you self-aggrandize with self-pity? This person's figured it out. Never leave yourself in a situation where you cannot substantiate claims of abuse, negligence, labor violations in your career. Let me remind you, someone said, "Oh, yeah, 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 you look like the other half black woman." Not in these words, I'm just making it up. "You look like the other half black woman who works here at Oni. My bad." Luckily, I'm able to substantiate this claim of abuse, this negligence, this labor violation in my career. Micah D2, thanks for $5. I'm very curious about Rumblebee. Can you put up a pic? Yeah. Okay. At the end of this, I will. Well, I'm going to talk about the Cyberfrog action figures when I'm done this. Screenshot emails, backup texts, keep copies of every important file, note dates and times, even when you think it's unnecessary. Trust me, if you're a pain in the ass, they're going to fire you. And then you're going to want to get sweet revenge. Oh, God. Corporations do not care. They will lock you out of your email and chats. They'll take back their hardware. They'll try to shove your body right under a bus if they can. The only way you can defeat that is to keep better records than they have. It's not hard. You just got fired from Oni, you idiot. It's just a small... again, Oni Press is a tiny little comic book company. Honestly, 12 people. 12 people. To her, to this creature, they're a corporation that does not care. Keep a work journal. Name names. It doesn't have to be detailed. Grab a notebook on your first day. Start documenting. Look at everyone suspiciously. Record people secretly. Turn it all over to a secondary source. Upload it onto another file, another computer. Keep files. Monitor your boss. Put cameras in their toilets. Here's an example. Date. First day. I'm very excited. Name. What's great. And this is a crazy person. This is a crazy person. They're giving you an example, like you're a child, of how to document, how to keep a journal about how you're being tortured at work. First day. I'm very excited. Name. What's great. And this is how they trained me. My desk has a skylight. And I think people are watching me. Well, I'm going to watch them right back. I have cameras in all the bathroom stalls. Because one day it's entirely possible your entry will be date. Today was a bad day. Name called me a slur, and I didn't know what to do. I reported it to Name, who is reassuring / dismissive of me. And then you have a better record. Print your email if you have to. We all hope we live in a world. We all hope we live and work in a space that doesn't require this, but the sad reality is that we do. It's a dark, scary world full of people that we have to narc on. People who people who might call us names. People who are not affording us the respect that we feel that we deserve, unearned. When the new car smell wears off, when the sun comes through the windows a bit duller, you'll want this as a reflection and a resource. 50 people hit like on it. That was me just dying, running out of batteries. 50 people. I mean, the mental illness in comics is so profound. It is so pervasive. The mental illness in comics. Dante and Ravina says, who wouldn't buy a Cecil figure? Pretty please, can we? I don't know. I used to work for a lawyer, and I 100% co-sign this. Also, don't just save the files to your work computer. Make sure you have them backed up somewhere that will remain under your control. Cecil says, you're making Cyberfrog action figures? Is that true? Yes, it is. Took a meeting last night. Clarker says, so dumb. I've worked at terrible companies. I didn't sue them or keep records. I just left and got a better job. Of course. Eric K says, Ethan, where can I buy a comic about a trans rainbow unicorn who runs around sprinkling fairy dust to destroy all toxic masculinity? LOL. See, if there was a demand for that, I would have to make that for you. And that's how to sell comics. That's how to sell comics. All right. Look at the hearts here. Oh, I support you. Oh, you could just, oh my God. It's a comedy in 2 acts. Buy this book, please. It won't even set you back a whole $10 unless you're anything like me and you decide to do the entire week shopping to justify your pleasure purchases. That's all right, too. Here's Christopher Sabilla, big, fat, monstrous weirdo, SJW scumbag. I don't know what he's talking about. This has been named one of Amazon's best graphic novels of 2019. Oh, it's crowded. Crowded. Squints at a personality test attached to a job application. Also, don't buy this book. It has a nice name. All right. Thank you, Rachel, for all the stuff. This is how they talk. This is how SJWs do for all this stuff. What stuff? Thank you for talking publicly about all this. I know it's hard. It's not hard. She wants to do it. She wants to do this. It's easy for her to blather on and on and on, self-importantly, about the fact that she completely drove a tiny little comic book company that gave her a chance absolutely bugfuck crazy. She drove them nuts. They had to fire her because she ruined relationships with other people, freelancers that were of value to the company. She doesn't know how to work or interact with other people. She's a monstrous SJW who only wanted to cause drama and friction, who only wanted to aggravate and agitate within the office, which is what SJWs do. It's not hard. It all led up to this, Rachel. All of this led up to this. This entire obnoxious 16-hour tweet thread was the entire reason she got the job in the first place. She got the job to be persecuted, to get fired, to write the tweet thread. For you to say, thank you. I know this is hard and frightening. You're so brave. I'm always here for you. Will Cyberfrog get caught in a pool drain in a future comic, says Cracklin? Not if I can help it. I'm very good about that lately. Very good about it indeed. Thank you for the super chats that are coming in. This is pie money. If you guys want to buy me a pie, send it on over. Look at this. You're so damn brave, guys. Are you joking? Are you being serious? I can't tell anymore. Pyric? Your name is Pyric. Are you being serious? What is going on? Zebulon Pike says, still waiting for a 6-scale Cecil figurine. This isn't brave. What is your definition of brave? You know who's brave? I'll tell you somebody who is actually brave. I will tell you somebody who's actually brave. And I'll do it for you right now. Hold on. Let's take a moment, since someone brought this up earlier. We're going to talk about somebody who is actually brave, who deserves praise. And I hope you guys understand this. Somebody who has earned my respect. And I think probably should earn your respect as well. If you don't respect this person yet already, I'm going to give you every reason why you should respect them. Bleeding Cool yesterday. John Delarose identifies secret left-wing Comicsgate grifters. Here we go. John Delarose is a comic book creator who is often not happy with Bleeding Cool. He didn't like an article. Blah, 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 blah. I'll tell you when we get to the brave person. Blah, 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 blah. That was my name. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, there's Richard Johnson apologizing, basically saying, hey, Robbie Rodriguez sending me a picture of his asshole. No big deal. Probably didn't bother me. Blah, blah, blah. All right, here we go. We arrived. John Delarose claims to have discovered the traitors in their midst, namely Donald Y. DeLay. I didn't know Donald's middle initial was Y. What does Y stand for? Donald Delay. This is an old tweet from Donald from October 16th, 04. If you're voting for Trump, let me know so I can block you. Thanks. Donald. Hey, he's a capitalistic lefty like me, says Donald. I could put all sorts of political messages in books I want to make, but I'd rather make money and appeal to a mass audience as best I can. Alienated potential customers is dumb. This is correct, Donald. Good attitude here. Yeah. So people are attacking Donald. Donald's not a Trump fan, I guess, or he wasn't back before the election or whatever. Donald is a left winger. Now, here's the reason why Donald's brave. I want to tell you why Donald is brave. Donald was a lefty. He was working for Image on a book with another SJW, big ass SJW. During this time, all of the SJWs were talking about how horrible your boy Zach was. Diversity in comics is Hitler. It's awful. It harasses women and minorities and transgendered people. Diversity in comics is just awful. It's horrible, and Richard C. Meyer deserves to be hunted down. I wish I could make him into a quadriplegic. I wish he died overseas. Now, in the midst of all this, and it was crazy. It was crazy when this was happening. All comic pros had to agree or keep their mouths shut. If you disagreed, you didn't say anything. But most of the comic pros would actually say, "Oh yes, he's horrible. It was Richard C. Meyer. He's just evil. He's fucking crazy. I hate this guy." Donald Delay. He said, "Well, this is what happened in his head." He said, "Huh, this guy's like evil, huh? I'm gonna go listen to one of his videos." And Donald went and he listened to, like an individual, not like a lemming. He went and he listened to Richard C. Meyer's videos, and then he listened to another one, and another one. And Donald started listening to Diversity in Comics regularly. And then he came back publicly and he said, "I don't think he's that bad of a guy." That's what Donald said. That was all he needed to say. All Donald needed to say was, "I don't think he's that bad of a guy." And he was immediately swarmed and attacked by SJWs, including his collaborator at Image, who all told him he needed to rethink that statement. Donald saying, not Donald saying, "I think he's great and I agree with everything he said." Donald just said, "I don't think he's that bad of a guy." Donald said, "No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to, if you don't change your mind, if you don't," I mean, the threats that he received for that one single tweet were outrageous. And Donald stood his ground. Donald stood his ground. And because Donald stood his ground, they did indeed follow through with their threats and they canceled him. They kicked him off of the book that he was doing. And they said, "We're going to make sure that you can't get work in comics anymore." So Donald came to us and said, "I think I'm Comicsgate. Can you help me?" And we said, "Yep." And we don't care how you feel about Trump. And we don't care about your politics, capitalistic lefty, whatever you are. Don't know what that means. We don't care. And look at this. He changed, like he figured it out. "I'm not going to alienate potential customers. This is dumb." Changed my mind. I was the exact opposite of this. "I'm voting for Trump. Trump rules. All of you shut up. Go to hell. Ha ha ha. I won." That was dumb too. That was equally dumb. Because we don't want to alienate potential customers. That's all. So it's not the politics are dumb. It's just that running around on Twitter, pissing people off is dumb. People that could be your customers. So Donald is brave. Donald actually had something going. He had a career going in mainstream comics. He was friends with all the right people, but they were lying. They were lying about Richard C. Meyer. He listened. He realized they were lying, and he said so. And he wouldn't take it back. And because of that, he sacrificed, a bright future in the failing comic book industry. That's bravery to me. Donald's brave. Donald has my respect. Mattybot 3000 says, "I work in a huge global corporate office. We talk out discrepancies because, one, we're human. Two, idiots like this cause massive micromanagement oversight." That's right. Don't hire these people. Eric K says, geez, last time I joke about something like that, some people think I'm serious about wanting that comic here. Yeah. It would be a fun comic, though. Black Russian Bot says, Donald is a good guy. FJDA, Hail Caesar, Hail Vestige. Yeah. So this is the thing. I want to just say, when these people talk about bravery, you're so damn brave, guys. You're not brave. You caused trouble for the company you worked for. They hired you out of pity and mercy. You attack them from behind out of spite. That's not bravery. Standing up for the truth objectively, standing up for what you believe in at the cost of everything that you had is bravery. And that's Donald DeLay. Here we go. Look at this. This is what the fuck? My face just melted off. Out of curiosity, when you think about diversity in comics, what are you usually thinking about? Please retweet. Characters in books, creators of books, consumer community, other. Please specify. I think about your boy Zach. What do you mean? What do you think about when you think about diversity in comics? You only think about one thing. You think about your boy Zach. Other your boy Zach. Look at this. Oh! Let's unionize comics. You can't. You have no intrinsic value. We don't need what you have. You cannot unionize when nobody needs the service that you offer. You are not providing anything of value. We could kick your ass out to the curb. We could kick you into that deep hole, that yawning chasm with people screaming at the bottom of it, and Christians think it's hell. We'll kick you into that and be just fine. You cannot unionize when you are not a necessary service. You're easily replaceable. Ask Chuck Wendig. You're easily replaceable. Nobody wants what you have. If you become too expensive, if you become too much of a problem, you will get fired. You cannot unionize comics, you weirdo. And there is no possible way the weirdest of the weird people think that Marvel and DC are actually going to provide free housing to SJWs. The nerve, the baldacity. Look at this person here. The baldacity of this person. Can I get this on the screen bigger? Oh, the baldacity of this person. There are real creators out there. There are real creative people who spend their entire lives learning how to do comics. They're adults. They figured out how to make it pay. These weirdos with their weird-ass comics and Cal Art style want Marvel to pay for a flat for 6 people, 6 of them, with cameras everywhere to monitor, to make sure they're doing all their work together. They think this is Big Brother. This is their ultimate dream. This is their ultimate dream, to have Marvel Comics buy a house that they can share with 6 other people. Can you imagine how that would smell? Can you imagine how that would smell? Jesus Christ. Mike D2 says, $5 for key lime pie. Also, you're 100% correct with Jeremy and the Nintendo Switch last night. Thank you. I don't know why he got so mad about that. And thank you for the pie. Oh, can you imagine? This is one of 6 people that I'm rooming with. Oh. Oh. Smell like canned tamales. Follow-up question for context. Do you make comics? Yes or no? Please kill me. All right. So that is that. That is that. That is the situation, everyone. Was this a long live stream? Oh, good Lord. Yeah, let me look at super chats. Hold on. There are people who haven't had super chats read yet. Sorry about that. I swear to God, I feel like I'm going to throw up reading that. It's just a pounding, splitting headache. I mean, from these people just bitching and whining and talking about marginalization and just bringing their nightmarish world into, like, your world. demanding your pity, demanding your sympathy, demanding that you put them in a position and pay them so they can persecute you and peck at you full time. Unhinged Crank says, how many Nintendo Switches in the 6-person flat? 6 of them. Six Nintendo Switches. Yeah. I'm scrolling up and I'm seeing if I missed any super chats. Yoko Adamata says SJWs bullied a professional manga artist off Twitter for using the word beginner in her tutorials. Why? That's weird. Micah D2 says he wants to see Rumblebee. I'll show you Rumblebee. Pro-choice, Oni chose to abort your career. That's right, DD. Tabletop Joe says, oh, great, Caesar, may I vomit now? Now you may vomit. Ragmuffin says SJW is a cancer to commerce. 100%. Resanctify says, we'll make you money if you hire us, but get us a safe space from the next Tom Cruise. Yeah, I will. Let me see. Scrolling up. Don't forget Cracklin Super Chat, says Thomas Van de Hoof. Cracklin says, what would Ryan Johnson's supervillain name be? I don't know. I guess Globehead. Globey. SJ Future Gohan says SJWs are worse than xenomorphs. Lucifer Love Monkey says my family doesn't have HR. That's right. That's right. You think you treat the comic book community like a family. Where's the HR? Yeah, most families don't have HR. They work it out. If you don't like it, you move out. DD says got woke, then slipped in all the gender fluid. Let's see. Matt Horkin says you're not respecting women. I'm trying to find that super chat. Oh, Mad Max says tips for comic submission to Image and others. Oh, that's interesting. Well, I don't know. I think at this point, comic submissions, your best bet is to actually show your work. It doesn't work the same way anymore. You don't submit to the companies. They hire people to open your envelopes and send you back like, hey, you could fix this or that. Nobody gets hired from submissions anymore. You really do need to kind of work your way in a smarter way. Go to conventions, meet writers, talk to writers, show them your work. Say, I want to do anything with you. I'm a big fan of your writing. Hook up with a writer. If failing that, find editors at conventions and show editors your work. That's the other way to do it. Okay, that's the best way to get in. Jeremy is soy when it comes to Nintendo. All correct. All right, thank you, Mad Max. I hope that helps. Yeah, it really is. You have to find strategy when it comes to breaking into comics, and that is the best way to do it. Mikey D2 says, no GMPC due to audio problems. Thanks for being on this morning. You're welcome. Tabletop Joe says, now that I got that out, hail Caesar, hail War Campaign. Right on, Tabletop Joe. All right, so first of all, request to have a look at Rumblebee. Let me call up, I've got the entire book somewhere here, and I'll show you. What is this? No, that's not Rumblebee. Yeah. That's not Rumblebee either. Dun, 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 dun. Just give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. And I will show you. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, we were talking about the action figures. And I actually sent over a picture, so I should be able to find that. It's not easy. I'm a little bit disorganized. I can be a little bit disorganized at times. Okay. This is great radio. Sorry, guys. All right, here's Rumblebee. And Going through my files. Boom. All right, this is Rumblebee. This is Cyberfrog punching the hell out of Rumblebee right here. And these are pollinate down here. These are, oh, you can't see them. I cut them off. These are pollinate. He's got 8 robot clones of himself, or 7 robot clones. Together, they're pollinate. But that is Rumblebee. And basically, Rumblebee is like the Boba Fett of the Cyberfrog universe. You know? Yeah. He's kind of like, he's for hire. All right, so here's what the other thing I wanted to talk about before we go. And I'm gonna kind of look at you guys. If you would, you saw my leg tattoo. Yeah, the Rose Tico thing. I don't have a Rose Tico tattoo, but I'm thinking about getting one at this point. The Rose Tico, saving what we love instead of killing what we hate, or whatever it is. All right, so here's the thing. I want to ask you guys what you think about this. We are going to, we're already working on the next line of things. We're working on the merchandise that's going to come out. We're not going to launch anything until you guys all have your comics. So you guys are going to have all your comics. You're going to have read Cyberfrog. You're going to know what's up. Nick W says, Uncle Ethan, shout out for that Star Wars girl, Anna's missing sister, Ellen. Pray that she get found. Yeah, we're doing that, Nick. We're doing that. It's pretty awful. We hope that everything's okay. All right. So we're talking about doing action figures. Now, initially, some people came to me and said, well, maybe you want to do like a PVC kind of action figure, just not posable, just something like that. Like a little mini statue, a cheap statue on honeycomb. And I said, yeah, that sounds cool. But the more we talked about it, we thought that we should kind of, if we're going to do PVCs and things like that, we should do those second, and really the first thing that we should do is put out the action figures. Let's go whole hog. Let's go all the way and produce like a really good line of superposable action figures first. Now, because of the way we do everything is crowdfunded. That's just the reality of it. So like, how do we crowdfund action figures? How do we crowdfund the kind of action figures that we want to do? Now, initially, my opinion was maybe we should do 5 action figures. And then Salamandroid would be a Build-A-Figure, okay? So, there would be a piece of Salamandroid in all these different 5 boxes, and then if you bought all 5, you would be able to put together Salamandroid, and he would be to scale. Like, I'd want him to be to scale of Cyberfrog. But then last night, they said, you don't really need to do 5, just do 3, and just make bigger pieces of Salamandroid in each box. So that way, yeah, we just do 3. So we could do Cyberfrog, Heather, and Rumblebee. And, if you buy all 3 of those, you're going to have all 3 pieces to put together Salamandroid. Me here, you there says, no, Ethan, Salamandroid now. No, Salamandroid's coming out right away. But, you'll have to buy all 3 of them to get. Basically, you buy all 3 of them, you get one free. Essentially, that's the way it is. It's just like the way the Marvel action figures work. So, yeah, so that's the question. Now, here's what I was thinking. I was thinking for the 4 action figures, we just say, look, we're going to sell them individually. You can get each one for a certain price, but get the whole set for $200. Okay, because it's going to cost a little bit more to produce these figures on a smaller scale. But once we sell, the great thing about this is we're going to be able to add stretch goals. At $200 for everything, we'll have enough wiggle room to add stretch goals to all backers. So if we reach $100,000, everyone will get a bonus set of accessories. At $200,000, we're going to do bonus switchable heads. At $300,000, everybody is going to get a bonus Vespis figure. It's just economy of scale. Everyone is going to get more for your $200 pledge the more money we raise. So that way there's room to grow. That way, if we only sell a few of these, then $200 is going to be what we're going to have to just offer what we can get done. But like, if we do really, really well, we can actually do more. And so like the backers are all going to receive everything. And I just envision lots and lots of extra bonuses along with this. It seems cool. Like, it seems to me like it's much bigger than a comic book. It seems like it's more in line with what people do when they crowdfund video games and things like that. But crowdfunding, really, really super nice Cyberfrog action figures uh, might be a good thing. So yeah. What do you guys think? Yeah, $200 is a lot of money. $200 would be, and by the way, these are big action figures. They would be Cyberfrog, Heather, Rumblebee, and large Salamandroid. You get all 4 figures for $200. And then the more money we raise, the more money the more action figure sets that we're able to sell, the more bonuses we're going to be able to throw in for that $200. Stretch goals. Stretch goals. So I don't know. I think that's the idea right now. What scale? I'm thinking Marvel Masterworks, or no, Marvel Legends. I'm thinking Marvel Legends for this. You know, so just picture like a Marvel Legends size Cyberfrog set. You know, I would like to do them really nice. I'd like to have chrome paint on them. I mean, they'll be really, really, really nice toys. And again, basically what we'd be doing is we'd be saying, just give us for the $200, you're going to get everything that we do. So and that's just a made up price. I'm not even sure that's the price, but it could be. And then you're just going to get everything we do. So the more that we do, the more cool toys and sculpts we're going to add to your perk. Yep. Sketch therapy. That's right. Yeah, they'll be movable. They're going to have lots of joints and all that stuff. And maybe a stretch goal. Amy Minty says you have to have the stretch goal of Ethan Van Sciver. No, but maybe Cecil. Maybe if we get to 500,000, we do a Cecil throw-in action figure. Mick Adams says, do you have to buy the whole set? What if you want just one? No, we'll offer each of them individual. If you only want Cyberfrog, if you only wanted Heather, we'd offer them for, I guess, $50 or something like that. But we think that most people will want all of them because I think people are going to want Salamandroid. He's going to have a bendable tail, a super long bendable tail. He's going to be as big as he should be, compared to Cyberfrog. I would want to get it to the point where we could make, the Vespus, make the bees, throw them in for free. But we would do boxes. I mean, it would just look so nice. I was talking to some sculptors and everything. I was talking to people who can get this done. It's just a matter of how do you do it on a crowdfunder. We're not Hasbro. Like the thing about Hasbro, it's like, yeah, we'd like to offer these for $20 each, like they do at Target, but that's Hasbro and they're everywhere. They have economy of scale. We don't really have that. How many of these are we going to sell? I don't know. Are we going to be able to sell 100 sets of these? 200 sets? That's going to make all the difference. How we go. So it's these are just things. Sideshow collectibles type. No, we're talking Marvel Legends, posable figures, not super big 12-inch figures. I would say like 8-inch figures. Yeah. And some people have a problem with the price. I'm gonna look and see what you guys are saying here. Hasbro, more like has been. Hasbro's doing good stuff. Matt Civilar says they'll be import figure prices. They'll need to be of high quality. Yeah, I would insist on it. I don't want to put out junk. I want, it's like you only get one shot at this. It seems like you want them to be the best that they can possibly be. And I would want Cyberfrog and Salamandroid to be just that look like my drawings. Cracklin says, "Can I buy these for my toddlers?" I don't know yet. I mean, yes, you can. I don't know. I don't know if they're appropriate for your toddlers yet. I haven't decided. Unhinged Crank says, "Heather Swain body pillow." Yes, we should definitely do that. Kenner style, we do them real small. You want to do the 3 3/4 figures? Those would be cheaper. Yeah. Cyberfrog body pillow. Corinne L says, "For an indie figure, that's a fair price." Yeah, I mean, I want to stress that like I would be watching over this like a hawk. I would really want these to be as close to McFarlane toys as they possibly could be. I don't want junk. I don't want to send you guys junk. It's embarrassing. I've seen some of these indie like action figures, and they just look like garbage. I don't want that. These would have to be good. And then obviously, it's like, oh look, we got to 100,000, so we're gonna add a set of weapons to Cyberfrog. Your Heather Swain is gonna come with a bucket of chicken. Like we would just add accessories and things, and then eventually get to a point where we could add another figure. I mean, if it did really well, yeah, we could add the Chelsin, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It's just an idea. I think it would be cool. And out of all of this, I mean, the thing about Cyberfrog is that we have an opportunity to because I know a lot of people who can help. We have an opportunity to get Cyberfrog into the market without going the usual route. We can actually force Cyberfrog, into Walmart and Target and these places, through crowdfunding. So if this figure were to sell big enough, if we were able to get good enough sculpts, get a good enough product together, we could get it into Walmart, which would be kind of fun. Do a Rainbow Brute plushie. That's coming. That is coming. Matt Svilar says it sounds awesome. And Nail and Millicent says now that's capitalism at its finest. Um, yeah. Everyone's excited about the Cecil figure at 500,000. Yeah, why not? uh, yeah. Sanctuary of Reality says straight to the clearance rank. He says, but he means rack. I doubt it. I think they do pretty well. I think people would want these toys. I think they look nice. I think the characters are cool. Mass Falar says there have been a few funded action figure lines on Kickstarter. Maybe take a look. Yeah, I will. I'd be interested in seeing what they are, and what the quality is and what the pricing is. I was just kind of like figuring this out. Like, how do you incentivize? Well, I mean, it actually is pretty cool. Instead of selling bookmarks and trading cards and those kind of perks, you're actually adding quality to the action figures. So you start out at a kind of high price, that allows you to make the action figures if only a few people support you. But the high price also allows some wiggle room so that you can add to it and you can enhance the end product. So that by the time the campaign's over, these people are getting a perk that is actually worth like retail is worth the $50 or whatever it would cost to buy it. Can the crowdfunded ones be numbered? Yeah, I think what would happen is, if we were to go to Walmart or something like that, we would just do a different version with the same sculpt. They were talking about battle damage, Cyberfrog, and they're talking about all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Tube Socks wants an EVS figure with a giant toe thumb and pointed nose. Well, otherwise it wouldn't be an Ethan figure. So. CC says, I'm down for 2 sets of figures. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Cecil says, swipe a Java sculpt and put a mustache on it. I would make it look just like you, Cecil, in real life. Here's what I would do. I would make a Cecil figure that could wear any of his various masks, like the Hillary Clinton mask. It'd be cool. Obi-Wan says, Gary Nerdrotic is trying to open a comic shop again. Told him he should make deals to be Comicsgate exclusive retailer. Maybe eventually a franchise, a chain. Help him out, Uncle E. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a good idea. I'm actually talking to some people as well about doing some Comicsgate as a group, Comicsgate product. You know, something where everyone like almost like a sampler pack, where everyone's going to make a little money. We'll talk more about that in a couple months. But yeah. Hoth Rebel says, doesn't Cyberfrog transform? I'd like that variant as well. Yeah, I would think those would be the accessories. Like we'd give him a set of guns, we'd give him, armor that could go on him. The better he sold, we would do more things. Sketch Therapy says, this month will be rough for me. How many months will be able to fund? How long will the turnaround be for campaign start to? Okay, they told me if we were to start this in July, it would be ready for Christmas. I mean, this isn't me drawing a comic book. This is an action figure company. Like the idea would be to get things ready for, in time for Christmas. $2 from Hatch says Cyberfrog character plushies. Those are possible too. We're gonna do a lot of stuff. I can't wait till the book comes out, so you guys have the book. It's gonna be nice. Technotoad says on $1 million stretch goal bonus cartoon. Well, we're doing that anyway. So everything's in play. We're doing a lot of stuff. The cartoon is happening. It's not a cartoon; it's a movie. But yeah, it's gonna be cool. A Nasser fun pop so you can run it. Nasser called me yesterday. I gotta call him back. I don't know. He calls me on my phone. I'm like, oh, I better call him back. I hope it's not serious. I love all these guys. I love all these comic skaters, no matter how much trouble they put me through. All right. I love you guys. So I just wanted to leave you that no well, there might be a Funko. No promises about no Funko, but no Funko plans right now. You know, I kicked Nasser to voicemail. I did, but I didn't mean to. Yeah. No, there's no word about Anna's sister yet. I'm sorry. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks very much. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any more ideas about the action figures, could you tweet them to me? Let me know what you think. Please follow me here at Comic Artist Pro Secrets. Check to make sure you're still subscribed. You might not be. There's some weird stuff going on with YouTube, and I really don't like it. But double check to make sure you're still subscribed. Subscribe if you aren't. Please hit the thumbs up on your way out. And I'll be back with more videos today. I put up a new video about a 7-year-old from Avengers Endgame who's being bullied by SJWs on social media. They're bullying 7-year-old girls now. Go watch that video, please, as well. All right. Have a great day. Talk to you later.